Senator Petitclerc. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Senators, I'd like to speak briefly in support of Bill S-282, an act respecting a national strategy for children and youth in Canada. This bill defines the principles and framework on the basis of which the federal government will develop a comprehensive action plan. I'd like to thank Senator Moody for introducing it and applaud her for her ongoing contribution to improving the quality of life of our children as a pediatrician, neonatologist, and now as a parliamentarian.
Canada is indeed a big country, and from the busy streets of Montreal or Toronto to the serene landscape of British Columbia, from coast to coast to coast lies our greatest treasure, our children and youth who are vulnerable and need to be treated as a priority. This bill, as stated in its preamble, reminds us that despite all the love and care we have for them, we do not yet have, as a country, a clear vision or objectives for their well-being. Malgré un certain nombre.
Despite investing in several initiatives, the most recent of which is the National School Food Program, we're not taking as good care of our children as we might think. In this speech, I'd like to highlight a number of aspects that I believe must be part of any action plan if we want to see real change. It's a well-known and well-documented fact that too many children still live in poverty in Canada. It's also well known that the mental health of children and young people leaves much to be desired. A 2023 study by the Conference Board of Canada and Children's Healthcare Canada found that some 1.6 million Canadian children and adolescents suffer from mental disorders. What's more, tens of thousands of them are waiting months, even years, for adequate treatment. Far too many Canadians between the ages of 5 and 17 are overweight or obese. They're not moving enough. This is well known. The national grade for physical activity in the Participation 2024 report card is D+. Only 39% of the 5 to 17 cohort met the recommendation to accumulate 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity per day.
Care Canada released a report in May 2004 that found that overall child health outcomes in Canada are deteriorating year after year. This organization is categoric, and I quote, "Our historically siloed patchwork approach to tackling the complex health and social needs of children, youth, and families is failing kids, their healthcare provider, and quite frankly, the future of our country." End of quote. Nous voulons tous que nos enfants grandissent dans des...
We all want our children to grow up in optimal conditions, whether they come from a low-income or high-income household. Currently, though, it's difficult to know what mechanisms we're trying to use to achieve this, what adequate resources we should devote to it, what results we can expect, and what quantifiable indicators we can use to assess the results.
Senator Moody's intention through her bill is to bring us back to our responsibility as stewards of their future to ensure that every child in Canada is afforded the opportunity to thrive, to grow, and to flourish. Le projet de loi est clair là-dessus. La stratégie...
The bill is clear on this point. The proposed strategy must be rooted in the principle of inclusivity. Every child, regardless of socioeconomic background, ethnicity, or place of birth, deserves access to the same opportunities and resources that will enable them to flourish and develop.
Education is at the core of any effort to promote children's well-being. As the great Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," end of quote. So we must invest in our educational systems, ensuring that they are equipped to nurture the talents and aspirations of every child. This includes fostering a culture of creativity, critical thinking, and compassion, empowering our youth to become active participants in shaping a better tomorrow. Je suis persuadée.
I'm convinced that the proposed strategy will enable us to value the interconnectedness of the various factors that influence a child's well-being. It's not enough to focus solely on physical health or academic success. We must also take into account the social, emotional, and psychological dimensions of a child's development. Of course, no strategy for the well-being of children and young people would be complete without taking into account their safety and protection. We must confront the cruel realities of child abuse, neglect, and exploitation, working tirelessly to create a society where every child feels safe, valued, and loved. This requires not only strong laws and adequate social services, but also a cultural shift that puts children's well-being first. We know that Indigenous children have a poorer quality of life.
Children First Raising Canada 2023, and I quote, "It is well established that First Nation, Métis, and Inuit youth are more likely to experience poorer mental health outcomes than their non-Indigenous counterparts," end of quote. Ils sont aussi
They are at greater risk of living in poverty than any other children in Canada. Let's not forget that 53.8% of children in foster care are Indigenous, even though they represent only 7.7% of the country's child population.
In crafting a Canadian strategy for children and youth, we must engage with Indigenous communities in a spirit of partnership and reconciliation. For too long, Indigenous children have faced systemic barriers to their well-being, stemming from a legacy of colonization and marginalization. It is imperative that we listen to their voice, honor their traditions, and work together towards a future where every Indigenous child can thrive within their own cultural context. Furthermore, it is in our quest for the well-being of children and youth, it will be important for us to recognize and address the unique needs of children and youth with disabilities. They are about 850,000 in Canada, and these children are often neglected or marginalized by society, and their voices too often silenced by stereotypes and ignorance. Les enfants en situation de handicap.
Children with disabilities face a multitude of challenges in their daily lives, from physical barriers to social stigma. However, it's not their disabilities that define them, but rather their resilience, strength, and limitless potential. As a society, we have a moral obligation to ensure that every child, regardless of ability, has the opportunity to thrive and succeed. This starts with access to education, healthcare, and support services tailored to the unique needs of children with disabilities. It means investing in inclusive classrooms where every child is valued for their contributions and equipped with the tools they need to reach their full potential. It also means ensuring that our healthcare system is equipped to provide specialized care and support children with disabilities and their families. In addition to access to services, we also need to confront the attitudes and prejudices that too often limit the opportunities available to children with disabilities. We need to challenge the stereotypes types that portray them, even today, as less capable. What's more, we need to equip children with disabilities to become active participants in their own lives, defending their rights and needs. This means providing them with the tools and resources they need to express themselves, make decisions, and pursue their dreams. It means fostering a sense of self-confidence and self-esteem that will make all the difference. By doing so, we not only help children with disabilities to progress, but enrich society as a whole. For diversity is not a weakness to overcome, but a strength to be celebrated. When we embrace each child's unique abilities and perspectives, we enable a wealth of opportunity and possibility. Honorable colleagues, in closing, as we work together to chart our course towards a natural strategy for children and youth, let us remember the words of the great disability rights activist Helen Keller, who said, and I quote, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much," end quote. Together then, let's build a Canada where every child, regardless of ability, has the opportunity to thrive, succeed, and aim high. Thank you.